This segment brought to you by Onyx Maps. Visualize your success.
Goes in it and then take off.
And then just wait him out till he comes out tonight?
Yeah.
So we'll bring a little lunch?
He should be bedded by, I'd say, 8 something.
And you don't think yesterday they came out early. They were out by probably 3.
You know, at this point it was about 10:30, so we grabbed a quick sandwich and then, you know, headed up, you know, across the little bit of desert between us and the mountains and then up into this canyon. This particular bull was grazing on a hillside, and on the opposite side of the ridge that he was on, there happened to be one of the few roads that came into these mountains. And you know, saying a road is generous. It was a pretty rough road, just a little bit more than a 4-wheeler trail. And so we realized we could probably drive up that road and get within a mile of his location and then have to hike up over the ridge and try to, you know, get above the meadow that he was in.
He wasn't on that ridge. He was kind of tucked in that way, wasn't he?
See them rock?
Yeah, the high ones?
Yeah, I come down into the saddle. And
yeah.
That was probably about 11 o'clock, and at that point, it was a straight hike up it ended up being about 1,500 feet. To the top of the ridge.
Elevation, yeah.
And there was a rock pile that we had spotted that we thought if we could get up to that rock pile, we could have a good view over the meadows, you know, the hillside where we thought he might come out at. And we got up there somewhere around 1:30 and set up.
And it's the waiting game from there on.
Had no sooner set up, and the elk came out. The elk we were looking for, the big elk, came out of the timber on the opposite side of this meadow and walked through a little opening and then bedded down on another timber patch. And so the good news was we knew exactly where he was now, because when we got there, we weren't sure where he was or where he would come out.
Right.
And he ended up coming out in a pretty good spot. We set up and just waited. And so then we waited for about 2 hours.
Nerves are percolating.
Oh, yeah, I was nervous. Okay, I was nervous. There was a couple other bulls that got out and wandered around, but it wasn't him. And you know, in most hunts, either of those other bulls that got up and moved around, I would have shot them in a heartbeat.
Great.
They were, you know, 300-plus bulls easily. You know, one was probably a 325 bull. But, you know, this bull clearly to me looked over 350, and so he was something I really wanted to shoot if I could get a chance. And then I want to say about 3:30, he popped his head out and looked around. He came out with his head, and you could just see the dark part of his mane and then his horns sticking out through the brush. And it was strange. It was almost like he had a sixth sense that he just wouldn't show himself. He knew somebody was there because he just came out just to the edge and then he'd back up. And he did this for maybe 45 minutes. Which was a little nerve-wracking at that point, as you can imagine. And then he came out and raked his antlers and just beat the heck out of a tree, but just never would show himself. He finally came out a little further, and then he turned his body, and he actually turned like he was going to go back in, and at the last second he put his head down to feed. And I had the scope on him at that point, and it really was a perfect quartering away shot.
I can hit him there, but I don't want to. Want me to shoot him?
See him?
Yeah.
You sure?
He's kind of facing the other way, though.
Hang on. Yeah, he's got some trees and crap.
I'm clicking off.
What's that?
I could hit him here.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'd like to have him turn, though. Here we go.
That? Reload. Yeah, reload. Put it right on top of his back, man.
Slowly squeezed the trigger, and I think I got him pretty good because I saw the shot hit. He flipped back around and walked out to the meadow and just hunched up and just sat there.
Did I hit him? Okay.
I think he was dead on his feet.
Oh yeah, they didn't. You know, they do that once they have a pretty lethal hit.
they absorb things. But they're big animals. It's better to
Till they're
add an
down on the
extra,
ground.
right?
Yeah.
You wanna be sure, that you got them good.
He slowly walked back into the same timber where he'd come out of, and he just walked really slowly. I couldn't get another beat on him at that point. I had a friend who had stayed back at the truck and was watching the whole show from 3 miles away on a spotting scope. And what he was able to communicate was that the bull walked in right into the edge of the timber where we couldn't see him any longer, the brush, and laid down right there. And so he watched him, and eventually he said he put his head down and kind of laid over on his side. So at that point, I felt reasonably good that we'd got him down. So at this point, we had a real decision to make because we had about 30 to 40 minutes of daylight left. And the hike, down the hill and up to where the bull would have been probably 20 to 25 minutes. It's pretty rugged country. So we made the decision that we'd let him lay and we would come back the next morning because we felt like he was down. He would expire overnight if he wasn't dead already, and we'd find him right where he laid, right where he was.
We don't like to do that, but sometimes it's the best decision. You got to do what you got to do. So, and it
worked out.
And it was cold that night, so didn't have to worry about spoiling. And remember to always follow us on Facebook and on Twitter
at Facebook/Extreme Desire TV.